Hey Spuddies, PotatoMcWhiskey here, and welcome back to Let's Play Civ 6 as the Maori. Starting off now, we are at about 292 tourism right at the start of this episode with 16 tourists. I would like to, ideally, actually finish this game. So we just got radio, which gives us seaside resorts. These are less important than would be in a normal game. But apparently somebody's culture is skyrocketing. And it looks like it is Pachacudi. That's a little bit unfortunate because that's going to make my life a little bit harder. But as we pump out more and more tourism, we should overcome him. We're going to go ahead and pick up computers because this gives a 25% boost towards tourism across my empire, as well as access to the flood barrier. And that'll allow me to make sure I do not run into too much trouble when the sea levels start to rise. Now, in an ideal situation, I would be able to get inside of Pachacudi's territory and maybe do some damage to him to lower his culture per turn, but he seems to be on the inside of the continent. So maybe my best bet would be to try to make friends with like Genghis Khan and a couple of other civilizations and get them to declare war on him. The big problem is that his science is currently a little bit insane. He's making 270 science per turn. So if I were to try to pull that off, I would need to get basically everyone who borders him to declare war on him to try to slow him down, which I might actually do. So let's see how many people I can get to declare war on the Incas. So I'll get Mongolia to declare the war, which is perfect. France will join my war for just 1 gold per turn. I'm wondering if I can get pretty much everyone in on this war, then we're in a great spot. England will join for just a little bit of gold. Poland hasn't actually met Pachacudi yet. Maybe the Ottomans will actually join my war as well. They will for 17 gold per turn, which I'm more than willing to pay. And it looks like Getarsia is not at war with Pachacudi as well, so I'll get her to join the war. And it looks like Russia just will not join because he's a friend of Pachacudi. But now if I click on Pachacudi, I can see here he's at war with pretty much everyone on the map with the exception of Peter. And I'm hoping that this war will slow him down. The other way that this could go badly for me is he pretty much steamrolls everyone and ends up taking over the world. But I'm going to hope that that doesn't happen. Now, of course, I do want to keep producing settlers out of my capital, but I also want to produce these things. I'm kind of at not at a total loss on what I want to do here. I think what I might do is I might purchase myself an archaeologist and go back to just mass producing settlers. Then use my gold for things like the broadcast center later. We do, of course, have another governor title, and the hard thing is making a decision about which one we want to go for. The big problem that I've run into is now that I've declared war on Pachacudi, all of his envoys are opened up towards all these city-states. So he's probably going to take some of them off me, which is a pretty big downside, which means they're then going to be revealed to the other AIs. But I got an Archaeological Museum in Otarapa. I'm going to spend the 8 turns to get that built up. I also got the aquarium in Warakawa. I would like another builder in here, for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I get that. I grabbed a builder in Opango, and that's great, actually. I think there could be a colossal head in the center here, maybe a colossal head here, a couple of rainforests. Yeah, I like that plan. Otherwise, for Opango, I think we'll get the water park online. It's a hard decision to make about whether or not the broadcast center gives enough to hard build it. The water park directly gives tourism. The broadcast center gives culture, which can lead to more tourism. So I guess I'll go for the broadcast center. Plus, it's a coastal city, so it's powered. Pop down a colossal head right here. We're up to 300 tourism per turn. I'm going to need to start mass producing builders and plopping down a lot more colossal heads. So as I predicted, the AI just took over suzerainty of a ton of city-states because they've been pretty much sitting on their envoys, unable to make friends with anyone. The big one I'm worried about is the fact that they took Leventa off me. And I don't mind Geneva, but I really want Leventa and Valletta. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I spend some time picking up envoys once I have Suffrage. I just need to keep an eye out in case any of my cities are vulnerable to their infrastructure being attacked here. But I'm very upset. Maybe I shouldn't have declared war. I mean, I didn't really see much of another option than to declare war. So I still feel like that was like a good move. Let's get the theater square in this place. I'm going to prioritize the theater square. Pop a forest down here in Kayapoi. You can see that we are slowly building up. If I go to the tourism map mode, see my woods give me tourism. My colossal heads should be giving me tourism. It's all gravy. Now I did get kicked out of the Inca's territory with this little scout. I also want to be trading with other players. So right now I'm going to trade with the Ottomans. And you know what? I think if I can get my fleet together, wherever it is, and get it sent over here, I could take over Sausa, and I might even be able to get an army inside of the Inca's territory and just do a little bit of pillaging to hurt them. I don't know where all my boats have gone, because I put them on auto-explore, and then kind of promptly forgot about them. I've got one over here. Where the hell did they go? Aha! I have a frigate over here in Mongolia. So let's get that moving over to capture Sausa. I'm also going to be trading with Indonesia. I'm trading with currently the Ottomans and Indonesia. Any other players I can trade with? Doesn't look like it. We'll just keep trading with city-states because that's like a ridiculous amount of culture. Let's go ahead and settle this city. And my plan is to harvest this, place a forest there, and maybe get rid of the rainforest here so that I can place a naturalist. Now let me check the appeal here. The appeal is 3, so that should be good enough if I remember for a naturalist. Yeah, so I'm probably going to harvest this, place a forest here, pop the naturalist in, bada bing, bada boom. This city will mostly exist just to get me a couple of national parks. Like there's another good one right there. May as well get those up and running. I should have picked up surplus logistics actually a long time ago. That would have made all of the trade routes heading to my capital a little bit better by giving them a significant boost to their food output. Ferris wheel completed in Kayapoi. I don't think I need to get the aquarium. It's actually the tier 3 building, if I recall correctly, that gives extra tourism. The Ferris wheel itself just gives a little bit of tourism. So I might be better off picking up the broadcast center at this point. But I also need a builder in here. We'll kind of have a little bit of a lack of builder charges. And I also need to get traders. I think I'm going to prioritize getting traders in my capital. But I don't want to spend the gold on it. So I want to hard build those if possible. Problem is I've just got a little bit too much stuff to build and not enough time to build it all. There's a wave of English swordsmen heading in to Pachacuti to go get killed. Less than ideal, but it does seem like these war efforts might slow him down. I'm also going to relocate my spies into his cities to try to take him on. Looks like Cusco, I could steal a significant amount of gold from him, as well as neutralizing his governor, doing all sorts of damage. I might concentrate all of my spies inside of Pachacuti's territory to try and slow him down. Alright, let's go ahead and do this with the naturalist first. There it is, +5 era score, and our very first national park. And then we'll kind of harvest this stuff later on, but that is a very nice national park. We'll be getting another one in the not too distant future. We'll be able to purchase one in just a couple of turns. And I think this one will be going down here. With that in mind, let's go ahead and buy those tiles so they're all belonging to the right city. And if the terrain is actually amenable to it, I might be able to fit another national park right here. I broke Pachacuti's suzerainty of La Venta, and it's my #1 city-state that I want to get online. Now, unfortunately, ideology does not give you envoys. The only thing I can think of to give me some envoys is opera and ballet. I pretty much have everything. So I am going to stop off for opera and ballet and then head back for ideology. I really need to have suzerainty of La Venta in order to actually be able to improve my territory the way that I want to with the colossal head. So it's like the most important city-state. Now I'm curious, I could trade places like Jakarta. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't place a trade route or two over here in my Western Empire to see if I can access people like France, like Mongolia, and the Khmer, because if I can get trade routes with them, then I'm in a really strong position. In fact, I might even purchase trade routes over there next turn. Maori has been completed. I'm just going through and making sure that I'm building as many walls as possible throughout my empire. The swordsmen are on their way to their death. Now, as I'm looking around here for potential national sites or whatever, unfortunately, the appeal here is just too low. But if I were to place a forest right there, I could get the appeal of this tile up high enough to where I could put a national park right there. And then I could even maybe get one in here. So that's going to involve having to get rid of this rainforest and this marsh and putting forest tiles on both of those. So there could be upwards of 4 city, there could be upwards of 4 national parks in Koro Ripopa. So now that I have all of the districts that I want to build completed in Wanganui, what I'm going to do is mass produce builders and traders here. First of all, I'm just going to mass produce builders so that I can send them to the 4 corners of my empire. I'm also going to come over here and use my gold, because I think this trade route can reach 3 different AIs and potentially 4 if I get a trade route thingy with the Khmer. I might even be able to reach Poland. This is a pretty crappy trade route, but I'm going to take it anyway, purely because it'll provide me with a potential relay to reach another civ. And then I'm going to go ahead and buy another 2 traders in here to be able to reach France and Mongolia. Apparently, once you place the national park, you're not allowed to harvest any resources, which I'm totally fine with. That's fine. I didn't know you could do that. I knew you could place them. I didn't know you weren't allowed to remove once you had placed the national park, which is a very interesting discovery. Pachacuti seems to be doing okay. I mean, his science is still climbing, despite the fact that his territory is getting invaded pretty heavily. His military is very, very weak, however, and it looks like the AI seems to be crashing their units uselessly against his territory. I'm going to go ahead and make units cheaper to produce with production. That's perfect at this point to increase the effectiveness of this war. And I'm going to say that I will take extra true gold when trading with trade city-states. So I'll give that a little boost. Ooh, major flood. Ouchies. Looks like trade city-states and production. So now that production cost of units has been halved, I expect to see mass, and I mean mass production of units by the AIs over here in the pursuit of this war against Pachacuti. His territory is massive, and I even have units on the inside that I'm going to be able to do things like breaching the dam. That'll take about 8 turns, but it should do significant damage to his city. So I think it's about time that I got my hands on my broadcast centers. Although I do need traders, so I might spend a little bit of time picking up things like that in some of these cities. Let's make sure that we're trading with Mongolia like we were talking about, and also trading with France. That's going to give us a significant boost to our tourism output. You can see we're up to 24 out of 153 already. And then in the meantime, we can just pick up a bunch of gold from trading with Lisbon. Similarly, I'm going to reassign my spies away from France because nobody is really a threat except for the Incas. So we're going to look for cities. I have a spy in Ulundi, and I have a spy in Cusco. I think Chocuto might be a good place to drop one as well, because I could create partisans out of here. That will be quite problematic for the Incas. Let's go ahead and use this Great Admiral to pick up extra pillaging bonuses, as well as an extra 500 gold. Now, there is ideology. That gives us access to another spy, so that's something that we're going to want to think about. It also gives us a better economic union card and a 5-year plan card. Most importantly, what we're going to do is just pop in the economic union card. That's going to make my commercial hubs and harbors better. And I'm also going to go ahead and plug in military research now that Limes is obsolete. That's going to give us a significant boost to our science per turn. I got about 30 science out of that card. And that boost of science is going to mean that we're going to pick up a few extra technologies here. I would really like the Eiffel Tower if I could get my hands on it and stuff like that. Now I want to go ahead and pick up democracy. It's very, very important to me that I get this government. There's a lot of reasons why you want to get democracy, but mainly it's because it has the lowest external tourism pressure hidden modifier of any government in the game. So that's like a mechanic that isn't explained very well in the game, but I'm not going to try to explain it either because it makes my brain hurt. I think it would be good to pick up a few aquariums because that's going to net me a little bit of science on a lot of my coastal tiles. With this spy, I'm going to go ahead and promote him with license to kill so that I can neutralize governors and stuff like that a little bit easier. Right, so we're going to harvest this rainforest for the purpose of planting new woods. And that woods was planted to give me appeal here. Then I'm going to go ahead and faith purchase a naturalist. and then go ahead and buy these 3 tiles, and I'll be able to place a national park on both of these in the near future. Meanwhile, I am currently bombarding Sousa with a pair of frigates, and I have a knight in position to capture that city. Probably not the greatest city I've ever seen, and I don't even know if I'll be able to keep it in terms of loyalty, but, you know, it's a maybe. Don't know if it would be better to raise it or to keep it. I definitely am glad to finally start getting some more diverse antiquity sites or whatever they're called. And I also need to make sure that I'm keeping open borders going with all of the AIs. Because unless you don't know, open borders gives you a 25% boost to your tourism pressure against the civilization. And the best thing to do is just kind of have a quick look around and look for anyone that has like solid borders. See the way here they have dashed borders on the orange civilization, the English. That means I have open borders with them, whereas the solid line here means I do not have open borders with the Inca, although I can actually enter their territory due to being at war with them. Aqueduct completed down here in Waingaroa. I might go ahead and just build the dam now to get this industrial zone finished off. It's at 5 adjacency right now. I definitely want to place the theatre square, just to have that ready to go. Now, with regards to Ulundi, I think, is neutralizing the governor here the most damage I could do to this city? Let's have a look at the loyalty in here. The loyalty is extremely positive, but if I neutralize the governor, maybe that will change the situation. So let's go ahead and neutralize. If I can take his governors out of action, maybe that'll do some damage to his economy. I'm pretty sure you can place colossal heads in the desert too, which gives them a huge boost in viability, particularly on these flatland desert tiles over here that I'm not going to be able to do anything with. It's just a way to turn them into a little bit of tourism. Pop down the woods here and get this naturalist on his way. How much until I can buy the next one? I just need 1,360. We're pretty close. I think I can leave this tile as is. I'm doing a lot of tile purchasing at this stage of the game, but that's because I need to be constantly building new woods and colossal heads as time goes on. Another artifact. Hopefully this one is from Gitarja. No, it's actually from me somehow. I don't ever remember having a unit down here, but that is my artifact. All right. Looks like the Inca's army has been completely obliterated, and he's still at war with everyone. I still can't quite tell what everyone is doing with their armies. I'm going to go ahead and get a friendship with the French and get a research alliance with the French to pick up a little bit of... Don't you clap your hands weirdly at me, Catherine, okay? Archaeologists complete in Otarapar, and already sent them on their way down to Waingaroa to pick up that lovely little antiquity site. Man, remember when I had planned to build a commercial hub in this city and never got around to it? Also, I could build a Patala Palace in here. Genuinely tempted to pick up the Patala Palace. I think the big thing, though, is if I can get my hands on the Cristo Redentor, man, is that even worth it? I mean, I do have a relic. I could go for Seaside Resorts. It would make Seaside Resorts way more valuable to the point where I would maybe consider retooling some of my coastline. It's 32 turns of production, but I have a build that's not reliant on needing Seaside Resorts. So maybe it's not worth my time, and I would be better off spending my time getting things like Seaports or the Broadcast Center. I think I'm going to pick up the Broadcast Center because that's going to give me a lot of passive points towards great musicians. And I shouldn't forget to pick up Seaports because they're now worth +2 science as well this game. Alright, let's blow Sousa right open. Can't quite finish the city off. I'll have to do that next turn. Only a few turns into this episode, and we already are at 378 tourism per turn, which is a really nice amount. Man, I actually might go for Cristo Redentor here. I think I've actually changed my mind. In the time it took me to look around, Seaside Resorts are incredibly valuable for tourism generation, regardless of the current build that I'm going for. So I feel like I kind of have to do that. I mean, this Seaside Resort alone is worth +5 tourism. With the Cristo Redentor, it'd be worth 10. That's like so much more than any of these colossal heads or forest tiles. Now, there is computers giving us another 25% boost to our tourism. So we're already up to 500 tourism per turn. So it's estimating we're about 32 turns away from winning. I reckon we could bring that down significantly. I think the big thing for me to pick up right now are boosts to my productivity and all that sort of stuff from my technology. Now, we're basically at the end of the tree. So we need to think about what our next moves are very carefully. I think I could go for the Eiffel Tower. I'm pretty much ahead in technology with the exception of the Incas. I might make my way up towards steel. I could also stop off for the launching the Earth satellite to reveal the entire map. But yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight for steel to pick up lumber mill production, even though I don't need that lumber mill production. But mainly I want to see if I can maybe get my hands on the Eiffel Tower. So the Incans are being buried inside an army the size of Mordor. It's still not quite good enough because it's a very weak army, but I think it's going to do the job in slowing them down. I mean, I haven't slowed them down at all yet, but, you know, I'm a man of hope. Let's go ahead and take out Sausa. This will be the first time that I actually do meaningful damage to the Incans by taking a real city from them. Let us pop down a woods and a colossal head. Look at that. Look at that delicious, delicious tourism we're picking up. Another artifact. This time I'll take another Catherine artifact. I want to have a diverse selection of artifacts from different cultures so that I can properly theme them together in my, museums. Nice. Another national park, +4 era score. National parks are really, really good for tourism, in case you didn't know. This national park right here is making 18 tourism per turn on its own without any real assistance. If we can get our hands on the, the thingamadoodle, you know the one that, the thing, the Eiffel McJigger thingy. Well, the question is, do I settle on the bananas, or do I settle a little bit more inland? If I settle on the bananas, I get to make use of these furs and these tiles right here. If I settle inland, I get to make use of some of this territory in here for national parks. It's a hard decision. Just trying to make sure that I'm constantly spending my money and improving my tiles to maximize the total amount of tourism I can get. That's my number one goal right now. I'm not really thinking about anything else but spending my money in a way that gets me more tourism. There is Suffrage. So what I'm going to do is see if I can afford to purchase a naturalist. I can at the discounted price, because the price of naturalists are going to go up significantly after this. Let's go ahead and plug in democracy. We're going to want to change a few things around. I definitely want to have veterancy in. I definitely want to have expropriation, public works, economic union. The real question is, what other things do I want to have plugged in here? I could take Machiavellianism, now that I'm pretty late into the game and making use of those. I could also take gunboat diplomacy instead of merchant confederation, because I think it's a pretty small percentage of my income right now. And I could take New Deal, because most of my cities have 3 specialty districts. However, there is something to be said for things like triangular trade and trade confederation. I'm going to plug in trade confederation for now, so that I can maximize my total income of these different scientific and cultural resources. We'll kind of reassess that going forward. Looks like there is a artifact hiding underneath this commercial hub, which is interesting. Let's go ahead and pick up cultural heritage now for the 3 envoys there. I am sitting on an envoy. I still have control of Levanta. I would like control of Valletta now, but unfortunately that just is not to be. Because I would really like to be able to faith purchase this rather than having to hard build it. I tell you what I will purchase though. I'll go ahead and purchase the lighthouse and the shipyard in here to give the city enough production to justifiably build the medieval walls in a reasonable amount of time. I could also use a builder in this city, but really what the city needs is border growth. Trade routes have finished up in here. Amazingly, I can reach all the way over to the Ottomans right now, which is cool and all. I maybe should have settled a city over here to be able to trade with the English. It would have been good to get trade routes with them. Can I actually manage to squeeze in a trade route with Russia, of all people? Because it feels like they're just in range here with Tver. And I mean, I can trade with like Kayseri, so why can't I trade with Tver? Like, the difference in range is not that much in all honesty. Okay, man, this is a hard choice. Do I want to settle coastally here? Pick up a interesting city, or do I want to move inland? Really, really tough choices. I think I'm going to settle where I am on the bananas. I think that's fine. Let's go ahead and take these 2 tiles away from that city. And we'll steal an artifact from Gitarja as well. And she's going to be annoyed at me that I did that, but I'm not going to go ahead and pay any attention to her. Nope, you cannot lay claim to where I dig with my people. Now, in Chukutio, things are a little bit more complicated. I definitely want to gain sources in here before I start doing any of these missions because the percentage chance of failure is so high. But I think what I might do is gain some sources and then look for a fairly low risk mission to pull off. Apparently I'm at war with Poland as well. I didn't even think about that. Didn't even notice that until just now. Let's go ahead and renew our friendships with all of these civs. And then go ahead and get all our alliances, like the cultural alliance with Russia, the military alliance with the Ottomans, economic alliance with Getarsia, and finally the religious alliance with the Khmer. All of our alliances are plugged in. We're making 18 diplomatic favor per turn. And he still hasn't taken any real damage. I really need to get this scout into friendly territory and see if I can get it upgraded into like a skirmisher or a ranger. Or maybe even a spec ops. If I could get this unit upgraded a significant amount, I could run around and pillage his campuses without too much of an issue. There's a longsword created by Getarsia. And it looks like England is even having some trouble with the loyalty of her cities over here. For example, Bristol. So it looks like Tver is just out of range. I'll go ahead and trade with Kayseri. I don't know why I get 4 food and 4 production from trading there. I'm not going to question it too much. Let's pop down another national park right here. There we go. +4 era score. Beautiful. The city is eventually going to want to place a Maori, but for now we're just getting as many of these national parks down, and it's giving me a ridiculous amount of amenities in the local area. Really? You're gonna trigger an emergency off of me capturing Sousa? An irrelevant, pointless, useless city has triggered an emergency. That's an absolute joke. Thankfully, I managed to vote it down enough. Even Victoria voted it up. You dummy, why would you vote that up? I literally have boats inside your territory to do damage to you. Why would you vote that up, Victoria? So I have Reina established in here. I can now use my money for what I had originally planned to do, which was to get the theatre square. Now I also want to purchase the water park in here, but I am going to have to wait a couple of turns. So I tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and hard build the Maori. I'll place the water park to kind of lock its price in. And then we'll go ahead and build the Maori. Buy this tile right here and place a colossal head. Please don't take Genghis Khan, why would you ever want to take Laventa? It's my city-state. Now that's annoying. I'm going to have to wait until things clear up here before I'll be able to do what I need to do. Now, Pachacuti wants to make peace. I refuse to make peace with Pachacuti. What I want is for him to get hurt. And he hasn't... What was this? Independence and killing of my spy! Wow, okay. Or of my scout, rather. Well, I guess that's my scout dead. Timing on that was incredible. I was just about to get into Getarsia's territory to heal. I guess I shouldn't have been walking through a city that's like flipping independent. That's my one major criticism you can make of me. Okay, so the dam has been completed in this city. Let's keep improving it. Definitely want mines and stuff if I can get them. Now I need to pick up things like the National History Museum. I'm going to spend 5 turns picking that up so I can fill my city with great works. Looks like the dam flooding has worked in here and it's done huge amounts of damage to this city, taking out 2 plantations, a farm, as well as a commercial hub, the dam itself, and an entertainment complex. Very happy with the damage done in the city as a result of that flood. Now might be a good time to do... What do I want to do? I could foment unrest. The city is kind of internal. I could neutralize the governor out of the city. I think that's a reasonable thing to do. If I can be kicking his governors out, I think he'll find that very annoying. Unfortunately, I am at war with Geneva now. Pachacuti just pumped a ton of envoys in there. Cultural heritage has been researched, which means I'm going to want to start plugging in the card heritage tourism. I also might want to consider building the Sydney Opera House, but plugging in heritage tourism would give me 100% tourism from great works of art or artifacts, and I have a significant amount of those. The hard thing is I have to kind of choose what I give up, and I think at this point I can safely give up Trade Confederation. for that 100% tourism. And we'll see that reflected. I'm up to 600 tourism per turn, roughly 43 out of 169 tourists. Still need a little bit of work to go. In particular, I'm going to want to pick up stuff like Cold War and environmentalism for the 25% tourism across my empire, as well as the 50% tourism output to civilizations that I have a trade route with. But since I got cultural heritage, I should be able to retake suzerainty of La Venta. Thank goodness for that, and I can start placing those colossal heads again, which is exactly what I need to be doing with some of these builders. I am, however, going to need to save up 1800 faith before I can get my next naturalist, which is about 5 turns away, which is a not insignificant amount of turns. Not a crazy amount of turns, but certainly not quite as nippy as I would like to be able to get them. Apparently this tile has 0 yields, except for faith. I think that's a bit of a UI bug right there. Apparently the Mongolians are pumping out a stupid amount of culture as well right now. And that's going to continue to make my life harder. I think the one I'm really, really worried about is like Genghis Khan. I should be able to beat him just fine. But the sheer amount of tourists that Pachacuti is generating with his 185 culture, that he has been generating for some time, is going to be a bit of a problem for me. I was kind of hoping to get this episode, or this series wrapped up, this episode rather, but I might have to continue on for an extra series episode or two. We shall see how the cookie crumbles in the not too distant future. And over here, just basically every flatland desert tile is getting a colossal head thrown onto it. It's basically converting a single bill charge into 2 tourism per turn. Seems like a pretty good deal to me, considering I'm on 700 tourism per turn from following this sort of a strategy. Another spy has been completed. This one is gonna go to Willawaman right here. It's one of the only other cities that I have revealed. And see if we can't do some damage to the Incas. Looks like we successfully kicked out the governor in Ulundi. I think I'm going to go ahead and take the smear campaign to allow me to foment unrest at 90% effectivity. Because if I can get the city to flip independent, that's actually so good. I don't mind if the Ottomans get this city. I can't tell if they would get it, or is the city just naturally flipping independent? Yeah, but I'm probably going to try to do some fomenting unrest in here to see if I can get the city to flip independent, especially since the Incas are actually in a dark age, so they're going to struggle a little bit. So let's have a look here. Looks like if I foment unrest here, it'll take away 35 loyalty. The city is currently losing 7 per turn, which means it's 14 turns from rebelling. So I think it is worth it to foment unrest here, because in about 6 turns, that'll cut off about 5 turns of the city's unrest, which should make the Incas panic. Lovely, placing down more colossal heads in here. Like, if I just look at the tourism that I'm picking up from this city, it's pretty damn significant. Although for some reason, I'm not getting it on some of these forests. Am I crazy? Does that only apply to old growth? I wonder why I'm not picking up tourism on newly planted woods in cities. Well, I really should be, shouldn't I? I mean, this is a woods that I planted. I'm getting tourism on it. It might just not be showing up for some of them. Alrighty then, let's go ahead and purchase a few of these tiles. I'm just going to spend a bit of cash here so that I don't have to keep doing it one by one. And I'm going to be using this time to plant down stuff like the colossal head. It's a good thing that I have expropriation plugged in. That's making my tile purchases cheaper by 20%, saving me a significant amount of gold across my empire, because I'm doing a lot of tile purchasing and improving right now. Now, Harbour and Theatre Square. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Broadcast Centre and the Seaport in Warakawa. Although that said, this is the perfect city to spend a little bit of time picking up my next spy, so I'm going to do that first. And actually, could I go for some wonders here? I could actually pick up a couple of these things, like the Sydney Opera House, or the Broadway, or the Bolshoi Theatre, or the Statue of Liberty. The Bolshoi Theatre is one that appeals to me a lot, actually, so I'm actually going to see if I can go for that one. Now, this is an old growth forest, but looks like I don't care. We're going to go ahead and try to take on the Bolshoi Theatre. We're prioritized on food and production, It'll take about 23 turns at 50 production per turn. It's pretty slow. Wonders definitely feel like they get a little bit expensive. Let's go ahead and pick up the seaport, or sorry, the aquarium and the seaport in this city. We've got the Renaissance walls in here. Definitely need builders in and around this city, and also to get these districts up and running properly. So here's a medieval artifact from Guitarja. Here's a medieval artifact from Catherine the Medici. And let's see if I can find a coupe medieval artifact to round that off. Now, all of my coupe artifacts are like ancient and classical era, which is decidedly incredibly annoying. Now, the real question is, on these desert hills, actually, I don't think you can build... anyway, you can build colossal heads on hills. The question is it worth it to build the mine for the 4 production or the colossal head for the 2 tourism per turn? And I feel like it's worth it to build the production tiles. The city has basically taken control of all the tiles that it ever is going to take control of. Let's make sure that we're prioritizing food tiles. There's also these pair of really good lake tiles, thanks to the Huey. Okay, so I think we established established presence here in Chukutio, and I think we want to neutralize some governors and foment a bit of unrest in here to cause some problems for the Incas. Looks like I actually ran out of open borders with England. I want to make sure that we maintain those open borders for as long as possible. Do a quick sweep around. Anyone else kick me out of their borders? No, looks like everyone else is nice and friendly. Yikes, that's a lot of barbs on this island. I was hoping to come down here and see if I could get a sneaky little city plopped in so that I could trade with some of these guys. Alas, so far it looks like it was not meant to be. So I've basically fully finished improving this city's tiles. It's generating the maximum amount of tourism that it's ever going to generate. And now the city I want to work on is this one over here. Looks like a bunch of people have made peace with Pachacudi. That's not quite good enough for me. I'm going to see if I can pull some of those people back into the war. So I'll pull Russia into the war with Poland. I don't know if that gets them to war with the... No, does not get them to war with them. I might just go ahead and make peace with Poland now. So, screw you, Russia. I just pulled you into a war that I'm no longer in. Can't pull in England. I believe, yeah, Genghis Khan's already at war. So is France. The Khmer don't want to join, so I might have to wait a few turns before people are more willing to rejoin the war. Alright, let's continue buying tiles over here in Magapipa, whatever it's called. Did I just call that city PewDiePie? I think I did by accident. Okay, a +3 colossal head seems reasonable, as does a +4. Now, we have neutralized the governor in Chukutio, which doesn't seem to have affected the loyalty all that much. It looks like this city has really good loyalty defense. I could go ahead and recruit partisans, but I might just try to do something a little bit easier, like, for example, siphoning funds to hurt his economy before I try something a little bit more risky. Just constantly have new tiles to purchase to place those colossal heads on top of. We're up to 800 tourism per turn. Things are definitely starting to heat up. Please give me a medieval artifact. Yes, the signet ring. I do need to get another artifact out of this guy, though, before I can move that one and theme that museum. Wow, this is actually the first theatre square that I built that has 3 or more adjacency, amazingly. I haven't done that yet this game. I think that was this one here in Pukemayra. Let's grab the Maori here. I do eventually want to get these industrial zone buildings. Trying to just keep myself busy and keep things churning along so I don't have to stop and think too hard about anything. Just basically clicking on the first thing that makes sense, like, for example, buying shipyards and building ancient walls. Now, here's how you can kind of do the calculation about whether or not it's better to build the colossal head or the woods. And basically what you want to do is you want to pick the one that will give you more tourism. So if I planted a wood here, I would get +1 tourism from this tile and +1 tourism from this tile. Whereas if I plant, so that's 2 total. Whereas if I plant a colossal head, I'll get 3 tourism, which means colossal head is the right choice there. I'm not too worried about finding the perfect, optimal, like, exact place everything should go. I'm more just looking for something that's, like, relatively optimal without too much work. Oh, I did not see Geneva. I guess I had a builder on like auto walk and it walked down here in range of this musketman. A bit unfortunate. Now this is another city down here that could make use of a lot of different builders, but we'll get to work on that in the not too distant future. I still have tons of builders running around up here, the northern half of my empire. Alright, in the city of Wilka-Waman, let's go ahead and gain sources so that we can start to do a little bit more damage to it. It looks like the Inca have planted a new governor in the city of Ulundi. So once this foment unrest is done, I'm going to try to extradite him or cut him out of the city. Discourage him? I forget what the word they use is. How do I forget that word? It's like used all the time. Now the only downside of building these colossal heads is that sometimes your cities decide to work the colossal head tiles rather than the much better other tiles. But the upside is, now that I have rock bands, it could be worth my while to produce a ton of rock bands and send them against the Inca. I do have Sausa over here that I could produce a rock band from, or I could just continue building national parks over here. I think I'll do another national park for the sake of it, and then make sure I line things up here. There we go, more medieval artifacts. So let's go ahead and grab that signet ring and pop it into here, giving me a themed archaeological museum. Now I just need to find another classical era artifact. I do in fact have a medieval artifact from a barbarian and Catherine de Medici. Now I just need to find, does Guitarja maybe have a medieval artifact roaming around somewhere? Question is, yeah, I think I'm going to refuse peace so that I can get people to go to war with him again. Hey, we found the clincture of Theotokos, and I think that's because one of my alliances just got to the next level, and it was indeed the alliance with the Ottomans. Man, look at the Ottomans. They have not really improved their territory all that much. I feel like the AI would do a lot better. I think part of it is, though, they started with this like really crappy desert area, which, to be fair, it's not their fault. But I feel like they would do so much better if they actually like improve their tiles. A lot of their tiles are just completely unimproved in terms of production. Now, of course, I have 3 envoys to hold on to, and of course, I am going to continue to hold on to them. I would maybe like to flip Geneva away from myself, or away from Pachacuti, but I have indeed fomented unrest here, and this city is now really poor for loyalty. The question is, I think neutralizing the governor would do the most damage to the loyalty of this city. Aha! It looks like England is about to settle here. Well, let's step forward 1 tile and block them from settling on this island. Not exactly my greatest city, but it mostly exists as a vector for trade routes. My people will settle where they please, England. You have every right to be upset, and I have every right to not give a damn. I'm going to go search through my cities for any that I might have an archaeological museum, but not have actually built the archaeologist. Like, for example, Opango. I forgot to build my archaeologist over here. That's exactly the kind of city that I'm looking for. Anywhere that I have the ability to produce an archaeologist, but have not yet done it. Here's another great example, Kapiti. Let's get that one underway. Man, these national parks are just worth so much era score. The unfortunate thing is I actually don't have anywhere to place a Maori in this city except right here. Or potentially over here. But I think, man, where do I want to put it even? I think it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. They're both like equally bad spots to put one. So I'm just going to plant it over here. And I want to get this theatre square online, because if I can get the Maori in here, that's a significant amount of culture and faith. And I have room for 1 more national park in here. I just, of course, need to grab these 2 tiles and then enough faith to purchase my naturalist. I don't know why I'm getting food in production from trading with my allies. I think there might be some kind of bonus that I'm forgetting. I'm just not sure where that's all coming from. But I will tell you this. Is that to do with my... it's to do with my democracy, I think it is, because he's technically my ally. But I tell you what we're going to do. We've made significant progress this game. We're up to turn 200. We have 73 out of 183 tourists. I'm feeling very confident that I'll be able to finish this game off next episode. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!